I just basically recorded a whole recap and wasn't recording. So, hey everyone, happy Thursday. Um, Trade recap today. I traded a little bit pre-market, didn't really get anything going, and cut those losers quick, and was able to get some wins today on my other trades. So, I'll start with the losers. These two were definitely rushed. I didn't need to trade these. Um, but yeah, anyways, I was looking at SOAR above. I think it might be better for me to just share this um, because this is a lot easier to see what's going on. So SOAR was showing me. I changed my mind. We're going back to this. Going back to this to just make things a little easier on one screen. Okay, so SOAR, um, I saw that resistance was forming above 3.8. I took the short at 3.79, or sorry, 3.77, and then it broke out with volume, and I covered immediately. I was looking for re-entry once it slowed momentum again. I tried to get in at the 4.2, but didn't get filled. I was playing the retest there, and it didn't retest, so um, that was that. Oops, lost connection for a second. So cut this loser quick. Definitely could have added at 4.2, but wasn't comfortable given what I was seeing. So I cut that one. RSLS pre-market. We had this sort of wick. We had a bunch of wicks, honestly. 292. We broke out here with no volume and closed above that. And so as we were approaching this high here, I was looking to short. We didn't. So I shorted at 305, and then we broke out with exceeding volume. I added here because we were still close to this wick. It goes a little bit higher and then sold off. And I covered for a small loss, $11 loss here because um, I didn't like the price action. I thought this was going to retest and push higher. Ended up pushing higher later, but I got out of this by that point. Um, so both of these, SOAR and RSLS, I think I rushed a little bit. RSLS not so much, and definitely could have held a little longer. I don't think this one was as risky for me to get out there. Um, but I felt like I was rushing that entry. It didn't really reach like true overextension in my eyes where I was shorting, right? So this is what I was seeing in the price action, and I took the short here, whereas the better short would have been higher, like at 3.4. If I take that short, then I'm good. But I was like playing like a double top instead of playing my indication of overextension. So rushed RSLS, even though I could have held that. KLTO, pre-market set a high at around 216, 218, I believe. Yep, it was this high here. And I was just playing that, so played kind of double top here. This one had overhead resistance um, on the daily, so the previous days were much higher volume when this was squeezing like crazy. So I set sort of resistance levels at 2, at 175 at the open and at the high. So I took a starter position close to or above the opening price. Um, Sorry, I'm confused. What is this? So the closing price is what I meant to say. Um, so it sold off pre-market above 2. So I was looking above 2 to short. Got to 213, and then at this point I covered because I have to head to work, and I was like, I gotta film a trade recap. I might actually be late. Um, but yeah, definitely could have held this. Risk wasn't super high. Could have added to it. This is just a matter of I had to go, and I didn't want to be in any positions. XTIA, this one was coming up on some news, but the pre-market price action was super bearish. See this trend? So around this five, like this five, above 575, I was interested in this short. The reason why I took a starter position here is because I saw indecision and didn't think it would reach all the way up there. It ended up breaking up. I added, and I was comfortable adding more into this. I covered a little bit here to take off some exposure and look to add higher. I tried to get in at 615 after I saw it get rejected again, and I missed it. It ended up selling off. I covered the rest of my position here. At points like this, when I have an average cost, like right about here, I don't love holding to potentially be in a drawdown, but I think I should hold statistically speaking. But again, this is just a matter of me having to go to work. Um, but I think like there's definitely profits I'm leaving on the table. IPA, this one I was in a bit of a drawdown, but I wasn't super concerned because of this high volume day. We had 328 million shares traded on this day with a high of 0.92. So I thought 0.92 would be hard resistance. I took a starter position at 0.82 when we started having some overextension. This one was definitely rushed. I didn't see shorting at this point, so I didn't need to enter there. The better entry would have been at 0.9 as my first, and then potentially covering a little bit here and playing the breakout, then looking for resistance again. So we broke out with volume, and then we start showing resistance at 104. And that's how I should have played it, of getting in at 0.9, covering a little bit at 0.86, risking breakouts on the breakout covering, and then re-entering above, like when I was seeing resistance again. But instead I got in at 8.2, got in at 0.9, and then I didn't cover at all here. And then I added at 1.04 when that resistance was showing. So nailed the top right about here. It ended up coming up again, but didn't break out or close above with volume. Close above this candle with volume, and ended up selling off. Could have held this one too, but again, gotta head to work. So that's the trade recap today. I will be doing some more beginner videos, I would say, of like explaining like what does it mean when I say I'm seeing resistance. In this case, it's like, so if we're like as far as price action goes, if we're looking at RSLS for example right now, um put this here. Basically, like reading price action is like looking how price is trading and assessing key levels. So right now we're in consolidation, which makes this a key level, but it could be good for range trading. So looking at the price right now, we see that there's like bids at 365. The prints are coming in all over the place, typically during consolidation, but we see we just had a big push up. So this makes me think that below 3.7, we might want to be bullish, like 3.65, 3.66. We might want to be bullish because based on these wicks, it seems like it's getting bought up. So let's see here how this acts. So I might be wrong, obviously, but it looks like it's still getting bought up a little bit. This price action is pretty weak. Like, even though it's getting bought up, the fact that it's wicking below that range can indicate it can push lower. But that's in a nutshell how price action can be read, is what prints are we seeing at a given level, and you could kind of play off of that. So during consolidation, it's a lot harder to identify what's getting shorted, what's getting bought up. But if we have this kind of chopping action, you could play this range of like, okay, most of the time we're trading above 364, so I might want to long below it. If you have a break below with high volume, it's always like a bit riskier to buy, but you could basically play the chop. So we see here it's just getting tighter, kind of the window, and eventually it'll break out in one direction, but that's like kind of how price action can be read. Um, a couple other things like if if you are seeing a lot of green on the print, but the ask isn't moving at all, that could indicate like huge selling there that might be hidden. Um, and yeah, I mean, I think like the reason why I like to go short is because we don't like the ask tends to hold a lot stronger than the bid when you have these shitty companies that are putting out a news outlet, um, and it's causing their stock price to jump. So now we're breaking down below the range, it looks like. So at this point, you could like look to long, risking, um, this area and aiming for like the 3 sevens, or you can short risking this area aiming for like 3 2, 3 1. Um, probability of stuff happening, I don't know that, um, but as long as your risk and reward is good, you could kind of play those key levels. So, um, yeah, I hope that was helpful. I might be doing kind of live trading um, in the future where like I'm live streaming or whatever. But for now, I'm just trying to get some consistency, end the month green, make the right plays, keep getting better, and then I'll be doing that. Thanks for watching. Hope everyone has a great day. Subscribe if you haven't, drop a like, means a lot, and leave a comment if you have questions. Peace.